Welcome to Sports Hangover. I'm Michael Benatar, joined alongside J DAWG.
Mike, it's somewhat good to see you today. I just spent the whole
Yeah.
weekend with you, so I don't have to see you today.
Yeah, it was a long weekend, staying up late, playing video games. We had our annual LAN party. Some people didn't know what that was. I texted somebody, and Aaron went out to a park to hang out with other people, and it's like, oh, Mike was at his LAN party, and it's a LAN party. It's a video game party. It's old school. You used to want to do it when you were a child. Now we're almost 40, and we still like to go play video games in the cabins in the woods, all weekend long.
People are not prepared for how much of an official LAN party this actually was. Mike purchased a television screen from Amazon for the occasion, like specially for the occasion. Everyone brought their own screens. It's just how you thought Mark Zuckerberg created Facebook in like 1999 in Palo Alto. It's just like that. It's a room of dudes, not socializing much with each other, but playing video games. Sometimes the same game. Sometimes everyone's playing different games. At times there was like 3-4 different games. I beat Mike at NCAA at one point, of course. That's a big one for me because you're always beating me in that. There's other games going on, but also we went to Big Bear, we drank beer, we had a great time. The weather's turning, it's getting cool up there. Great time with you.
It was nice. It was like basically 7 dudes in a room with TV and gaming consoles and playing with each other. Yeah, it was a lot. It was fun. A lot of video games.
And what I'll say about the 7 dudes is shout out to all of them for making the trip, Mike, because we have friends, some of them listen to the show, they don't travel without their significant other. They just won't do it. They just won't come and visit us. But Mike, it's possible to do. And all 7 dudes left their significant others, including mine, and we all went to the LAN party. And children. Well, they want to leave their children. That's no surprise to anyone. But they also left their spouse, which is cool, to come hang out with us. And it was a good boys' weekend. Also watched a lot of college football. We left Sunday. We didn't watch NFL. Thankfully, not a lot of good games. We watched a lot of college football. I lost all my bets. Not happy about it. But the road favorites were not covering. It was the home dogs who covered in some big games on Saturday.
Yeah, and before kickoff, I was just randomly yelling out team names, and everybody agreed upon which ones I should bet on. And my 17 parlay hit at the end of the night, which was
17 team. Is that what you said?
7 team. Yeah, 7.
You had a 17 money line, which people know is hard to do. You had some underdogs in there. It wasn't all favorites. It wasn't all chalk.
Yeah, it was great. I can maybe I'll throw it in the description, but it was It was great. It felt good, even though I was like exhausted, and that was we were watching the final game over about like $200 worth of Taco Bell. We got delivered to our
Don't tell people our whole menu, Mike. It's going to be very bad for our cholesterol going forward.
Yeah, it was not good. Yeah, but it was fun. It was a good time at the cabin. So definitely recommend going to a cabin in the woods and playing video games with your friends.
Mike, I love that segue because that's where Jerry Jones wants to go today, to a cabin in the woods with no one making fun of the Dallas Cowboys because they are terrible. They are soft. They are not going to the playoffs. They're terrible at home. They're getting blown out at home every week now, which is extra terrible for Jerry and the Cowboys fans. We love it. We don't love the Cowboys. I used to be a Dak guy. I told you a few years ago, Dak's not the guy. So now I love the team struggling.
So now that you're off of the Dak train, what do you think about, should they fire somebody? They just paid, I have a note here. Yeah. They paid Dak and CeeDee a combined $370 million. And this team just lost, what was it? We're 47-9. At home, not doing good. Also, weird design in the building when the light is shining through.
I was thinking that the Cowboys dropped a critical pass late in the game, and Tom Brady's like, the receiver's looking straight in the sun. Like, who built this? Who told him to go that way? Like, all these things. Like, Jerry, your stadium is so special. The sun shines in at weird angles, like in my hotel room right now. Like, what is Jerry going on with that for?
It is weird because you think about it. It's like, you spend so much money and you just don't think like, hey, we might do a afternoon game in the winter and it might just shine in just a little bit through here. Not good. I would understand if it's like an outdoor stadium. Obviously, you're going to get some light, but at least it's everywhere and not just like a glimmer of light into one player's face. But yeah, not great.
Mike, we learned during the hurricane last week, thoughts and prayers to Florida, of course, with Hurricane Milton, that indoor stadiums can become outdoor stadiums very quickly and just have a storm. And so maybe the whole key with Dallas, sorry, your Tampa Bay Rays, but your stadium is now an outdoor stadium, which I think, obviously St. Pete got hit hard. We want St. Pete to recover. We all love St. Pete. We also want the Rays to have a better stadium. So maybe this is a way for the Rays to try open air for a couple of years here before they move into a new stadium. Because I saw some pictures with the sun shining inside the dome for the first time. I know there was a lot of damage, and if you can look past that, the sun shining on the stadium looked kind of cool.
Have you been inside that stadium when the dome was actually together?
Oh yeah, it's a giant warehouse. It's like a Costco.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
It's the weirdest vibe. You're walking around, everything's concrete. It's not like a nice atmosphere to be in. And you go to these like basketball games or whatever out here in LA. It's like it is a big concrete dome, but at least they make it feel like you're somewhere that you want to be, and the Rays Stadium is somewhere you don't want to be. And I thought they were gonna move the Rays to Toronto or something. It's like this is your chance. Like get them to Toronto if you don't want them in Tampa anymore. Or St.
I think
Pete.
some people want them in Tampa, but fans never go to games, so they're not going to make enough money to stay there. So it's a whole thing. They're supposed to be getting a new stadium in downtown St. Pete in a few years anyway.
Oh.
So that's why I don't think they're replacing the Trop Dome like in any way, shape, or form. So something to watch. TSH will be all over it. We are a local Tampa podcast, so we'll be all over it.
My family without power for almost a week, so they just got it back the other day.
Wow, glad it's back. They really rode out the storm.
Camping.
Yeah, camping in the weather. But at least the weather got cool for them. It wasn't as hot as a normal summer. Mike, you asked me, who are we firing on the Dallas Cowboys? And I'll tell you right now, it's Jerry Jones. No, we cannot take the team away. We cannot fire him as an owner because rich people rule the world, and we know that, and he can keep doing that. What he can't keep doing is building this roster. He is fired as the GM as of today, October 14th, 2024. He's the one who paid Dak. He's the one who paid CD. He's the one who paid the contractors to design that stadium with the big-ass window in it. Jerry is at fault for all of this. Jerry said something very concerning to me yesterday. Jerry said after the game in his little press conference, which, by the way, why are we sticking mics in Jerry Jones' faces? Why is he answering questions after every game? Did I hear from McCarthy? No. Did I hear from Dak? No, I only heard from Jerry.
No, just
but
Jerry.
what Jerry said was, Mike, it was a shocker. And if anyone's been watching this team this year, we know it's not a shocker. So the biggest indictment on him is he didn't even see it coming. He didn't even know his team was terrible until this game when we all knew ahead of time. So Jerry can't be that GM anymore. If you're a fan of the Cowboys, write a letter to your owner and tell him step down as GM right now.
Question, if you think the season is going to be miserable, do you start trading away assets right now? Do you try to get some draft capital, get some new players in? Do you fire Mike McCarthy? I feel like Mike McCarthy is just like, he's stuck in the middle. He can't say no to Jerry, and he has to put these guys on the field and has to do this thing. I think you fire him, trade away all your teammates, and get some draft capital for next year. And just kind of reset. Give it a nice reset. You've never had you always want to be in the mix and you're always kind of in mediocre. You know that as a Dak fan for years. They make it to the playoffs and they lose. And they can't win a playoff game. I think you just fire. Start selling the team off. You could do it right now. Teams want to be in the playoffs. Sell them off. Give CD to somebody. Who cares?
I don't think the Cowboys are in position to rebuild, especially if Jerry doesn't fire his own ass as GM, because he's just going to rebuild it to be a terrible roster. So, Mike, before they do any rebuilding, he's got to step down. So it's part one, my plan, then part two, your plan. We got to make sure Jerry steps away, and then we can do the sell-off. If he doesn't, what's the point of acquiring bad assets? My team has been tanking for Tua type of stuff for many years. Yeah. Look where that's led us, to a terrible position because we have terrible decision makers. So if the decision makers don't change, rebuilds and tankings don't work. We're seeing that around the league, and I know that better than anyone.
I have some more bullshit or believes if you want to go through, and I know you got some more people to fire.
Yeah.
My big one is it Mason Rudolph time in Tennessee? Because after Will Levis, he gives us a meme every single week of different things he mistakenly does in the game. I think it might be time for them to move on to Mason. I know Pittsburgh fans say Mason was a great quarterback. Maybe the best. Maybe the best in Steeler history. Maybe we'll get a jersey hung somewhere over there.
No, Justin Fields is the best non-rapist quarterback in Steelers history right now. Because we don't know what Terry Bradshaw did in the 70s. We don't know what he's up to.
That's true. I do love a Fox Sunday Morning with Terry, though.
Always inappropriate.
Is it Mason Rudolph time? Is it time for him to just come in and say, Will Levis experiment did not work, move on? Because I feel like the team has some oomph to it, but just can't get over the hump of the mistakes that he makes all the time.
Believe. The answer is believe. I got an alert yesterday at some point that Will Levis was starting the game. I was like, wait, I thought we were done with this. I thought Mason Rudolph was actually coming in because remember, they beat the Dolphins, which is not easy to do, but they did it. Then they had a bye, and it's like, what a time. Mason Rudolph learned the playbook for 2 weeks, get acclimated. Levis started, more turnovers. They lost to Joe Flacco. Everyone's doing it, but it doesn't make it okay because it shouldn't be doing it, but they all are. It's Mason Rudolph time. Yesterday, Will Levis shouldn't have gotten that last chance. This is all about people like the GM trying to keep their job because this guy drafted Will Levis, and then he fired Mike Vrabel, and things aren't going well, so he's trying to throw anything that works. I think the Titans are another team that is going nowhere, and they have no future because this GM is the one who drafted Will Levis.
Well, it's also weird that they fired Vrabel last year, and I thought he was an okay coach. He had some fire to him, kind of like a Dan Campbell type.
Yeah, they're worse now, for sure.
Oh, yeah, they're not doing good. You got anything else? I got a few more if you want to run through them.
Yeah, I got one more firing if we can just mention. Actually,
Yeah.
two more. I'm in a firing
Let's
mood.
fire. Let's go.
Nick Sirianni, Philadelphia Eagles head coach, you won yesterday and you're getting fired. That's hard to do. Hard to do in the NFL to win and get fired, but you, sir, are capable of doing both. You beat the Browns. They're a terrible team. You beat them at home. We're not proud of you for that. You didn't cover the spread, man. You won by 4. Every team in your division has beaten the Browns by more than 4 games. Not all of them at home. You, sir, have been in the hot seat. He beats the Browns by 4. Watson has a chance to beat his team late. The offense still looks terrible and boring. And then... Two things that pissed me off that this man did after the game. One, he goes up to his own Eagles fans. Did you see the video with his finger to his ear? If you can't see me right now, like, can you hear me now? What are you saying now? Like, firing the crowd up because they've been booing him and calling for him.
I know.
Dude, you didn't cover at home against one of the worst teams in the league. You're still on the hot seat. Don't do that. Number 2, he knows he's on the hot seat. He knows the fans are booing him. So what does he do in his post-game press conference? He brings his 3 kids under 5 with him to the podium. How can anyone be confrontational with a man? How can you ask about his job security when your 3 kids are in your lap? No one's asking about LeBron's job security when his kids are in his lap or all these NBA players. So Nick Sirianni knew it was going to be a tough press conference and covered it up to bring his kids in as a human shield over him against the people of Philadelphia. That man should have been fired today after a win to send a signal to him.
Can I say, I think the haircut, when you shave your head, it's kind of like you're going through something, you're ready for it all. And I felt like he was like prepared to just like, I'm getting fired today. I got to shave my head. And this is, or
like
or
a
nice
warrior.
distraction. Yeah. Like, okay, this is it. Like, I got to win this today. Yeah. It's weird. It's like ever since last season, we thought they were so good when they went on that run. Then they just kept losing game after game after game. And I just feel like at this point, it's like, what needs to happen? Because you see these teams, you feel like there's talent there. And then the coaches don't really do much to it, or they're just not thinking past like the day to day. And it's like trying, like, is Jalen Hurts sad or something? Because I feel like that man never smiles. Like,
he does,
I feel like he's got a
sad.
great smile.
Yeah.
Smile every once in a while. You could win a game, smile, give the fans something they want. The man is like stone cold all the time. And it's just not a vibe. Like, remember Jay Cutler? He was not a vibe. If he was losing, he would show it to everybody and make sure his whole,
comparing Hurts to Cutler's low blow, Mike. That's low.
I know. I just want, you got to have a little bit of something. Like, show us your anger, show us your happiness, show us something. At least you have some sort of emotion, not just like, I'm a robot. I do the tush push every single game and try to get first down. Like, we need something. And I don't know what it is. I feel bad for these teams when they don't have anything else they can like switch on. They got Barkley. They got all these guys. What are you going to do?
So many weapons. And again, it comes back to coaching. Again, I think there's decent weapons in Dallas, but I don't know. There's not enough. And the same thing for Philly. Yeah. And so Sirianni needs to go. He's not going to last through the end of the season, so why wait? They still have a chance to make the playoffs and fix the offense if they make a move now. I would just love the idea of firing a guy after a win because you're such a jerk throughout the whole process. I would love that. The Eagles, by the way, Jalen Hurts got paid in the offseason, so he got over $200 million guaranteed. He still doesn't look happy. And now you're seeing these younger quarterbacks. You'd rather have Stroud, you'd rather have Daniels than Hurts. Like, where does Hurts rank? Every year, he's becoming worse and worse as a quarterback in the NFL compared to other guys. It's like they're not even in a good place with the roster or the coaching staff at some point.
Should you put something in these contracts for the quarterbacks? Because like you're giving all these guaranteed money away. We can talk about Trevor Lawrence and all these other guys in a minute, but do you think we should put something in the contract for future quarterbacks when they sign a big deal? It says you need to win a minimum of this many games or you do not get your full salary for that year. And I feel like that's what it should be. And then use that extra money somewhere else the following year in free agency. So you sign a $200 million contract, you're guaranteed $50 million a year. You only get 25 if you only win 6 games. You're out. That's it.
Mike, this idea is coming straight from the front office of an NFL team. No agent or QB is saying, yes, I will agree for you to build whatever team you want and then pay me based on the wins that we have. Because so often is the case.
I know.
The quarterback is separate from the product on the field. Joe Burrow should not be 2-4 or whatever their record is. He's been better than that this year, but that's who he is because his defense sucks. So it's not always their fault. As a Dolphins fan, as someone who locked up Tua long term, of course, I want all the clauses in the contract. Hey, run into a guy on offense and the contract is void. Hey, it's already void. I would love all the clauses, Mike. It's not that easy, and it's a supply and demand thing. There's a reason Deshaun Watson got overpaid so much because multiple other teams are willing to do it. What if the Falcons did that deal? What if the Saints did that deal for Watson, as we talked about at the time? They would be in hell like the Browns are right now. And so there's always teams willing to pay these guys. If Trevor Lawrence wasn't signed by Jacksonville, someone else like Miami would have signed him anyway. So I don't think we're ever getting past these contracts.
Well, my next one I wanted to talk about was Trevor Lawrence. He was in London this weekend. I bet on him mistakenly. I might have gone 0-5. I didn't even check the picks this weekend because
why'd you bet on Jacksonville? Can we start there?
Listen, Jacksonville in London, rookie QB flying to London, first time ever. By the way, first time any rookie has won overseas. This has never happened before.
Who won?
All the trends. Chicago won. All the trends
what
say
rookie?
a rookie. Yeah, all the trends say bet against the rookie. Listen, there might be a rookie there this weekend that I might be also betting against with with the Jags there. Trevor Lawrence signed a 5-year extension in the offseason worth $275 million. Is it time somebody needs to either be benched or do they fire Doug Peterson? I feel like we need to go bet on all the coaches about to be fired because they're going to leave Doug Peterson in London somewhere and never come back.
Mike, you're onto something there because there's only one reason Doug Peterson wasn't fired today, and you hit on the reason why. They have a game in London next week, and you can't get a new coach to London in time to install a playbook, so you might as well use the one who's already there. So we're a week too early on Doug Peterson. Yes, I was firing Doug Peterson on today's show, and then I realized they're playing Drake May and the Patriots in London. Now, Shad Khan, the worst thing for him would be if they beat the Patriots like 6-3 in a terrible game, and then he's like, can I still fire this guy? And the answer is yes, because I just fired Nick Sirianni after a win.
Yes.
So you can definitely fire Doug Peterson after a win. And ideally, like we talked about yesterday, fire him before he gets on the plane. Let the man enjoy Europe. It's the least you can do. Say, hey, we don't want you on this flight. You can fly your own self home in a few weeks. We pay you a lot of money to go away. Go enjoy Europe. And I think he would. I think he definitely would. It's like Kingsbury in Thailand, Peterson in Europe. Let's just start following these coaches on what they do. Because, like, what do these benders look like? You're so invested in your team for years and years. What does it look like when you're free? I would need to see this video. I would love to see it.
It's kind of crazy that these teams are paying so much money and they're not going anywhere. It's like, I feel like they should just literally, like, Jeremy, we played so much college football, so much video game football this weekend, and we knew time management. We knew the right plays to do. We knew if the quarterback was bad, we're like, oh, yeah, this guy's no good. Like, we need to get him out of here. Bring in a sub 25-year-old into your football team and make them have the decision to fire or move players around. I think they would win a lot more games. Screw all these analytics in the Moneyball game. Just do a professional Madden player come into your team. I bet your team would be making the best plays and the best moves possible because these guys study. All they do is do game film, basically. You're playing game film.
And you nailed the franchise to do it with. It's the Jacksonville Jaguars. Shad Khan is the owner. Do you know who his son is? Tony Khan, who always gets beat up in these AEW things, and he's like 25 years old. What a perfect person to insert as the young decision maker with lots of video game experience to know the score, to know the time, to know the timeout, to drop the fun new plays and get ahead of the curve. It should be the owner's son in Jacksonville. I love that.
It's time to change. And I felt like I read an article the other day. I don't know what it was about, but fully about. I read like a little bit of it. And the idea of it was like Moneyball ruined baseball, basically. How like taking these players, making them really cheap, finding, they hit this and that and whatever. And we're going to be able to, win X amount of games with these players we brought in because of the salary cap. Like whatever, the Oakland A's did it for years and they were always bad, but they did win some games.
They did.
And I think this is the time to change. Like get these young kids in because I feel like we know. Like I knew clock management. I look at the clock. I'm like, this is exactly what I need to do. Now, sometimes we go on fourth down, but that's the name of the game. You got to go on fourth down if you can't
I don't think you punted
goal.
to me in any of our NCAA games. Part of that's my bad defense. Part of that's bad decision making. But still,
that's true.
That's okay. Mike, we just did a whole segment on the Jags and the Bears and London, and the viewers didn't hear you mention the words Caleb Williams, and so they're not going to leave this podcast without talking about Caleb Williams. Mike obviously faded the Bears yesterday. That's why he bet on the Jags. He was so blindly bet on the Jags that he faded Caleb. It didn't work. Caleb had 4 touchdowns. I wake up today and there's DJ Moore's being traded in my fantasy football league. Like,
what is going on?
People are investing in the Bears now. Have we turned a corner on Caleb Williams? Do you have a terrible take on him? Is he going to be good, or is there still time for you to be right?
In our group thread, we had a mic drop and left the group thread yesterday.
That's kind of cool.
That was good. Yeah, it was nice. I had Adam back so I could comment on his
Well, he's our meme harvester. You can't have the meme harvester to leave the group or else things slow down a lot.
Yeah, they slow down. So, listen, maybe my take was wrong. It was 6 games. I know he scored more touchdowns in this last game than he scored in the last 5 games he played. I saw that stat on the screen when we were watching, whatever, it's like 6 a.m. or whatever. But the idea is, I still don't think he's going to be that good. And no matter what you say, listen, they played the Jags. Jags could be, maybe they turn out to be the worst team in the league. Who knows? We don't know right now. but I'm still gonna hold to. If the Chicago Bears make the playoffs, I will issue an apology to all the Bears fans, the Caleb Williams fans, and maybe I'll come around and maybe I'll be a Caleb fan. Maybe I'll start painting my fingernails and be on his team.
You're so open-minded, Mike. I appreciate that out of you.
Of course. I can't say, listen, you got to keep adjusting. You can't always just like be stuck thinking one way. You got to expand your mind, and maybe our meme harvester friend was right. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'll see when they make the playoffs, Jeremy.
Rule number 77 of the manifesto is always keep evolving, and I know you're doing that with this take. So good, and your takes also evolve. I like to be right on mine. It's okay if you're not always right, and they come around and they succeed. So we'll see what happens. By the way, those 4 teams in the NFC North. We know the Vikings and the Lions are great. The Packers looked better yesterday. The Bears are looking okay. Those 4 teams have the 4 best point differentials in the whole NFL. They obviously haven't been playing each other much lately. That changes soon with the Lions and Vikings in a good game. But those 4 teams, Mike, they could all try to go to the playoffs, and you might be onto something. The Bears might go to the playoffs, and we need to pull back those old clips if that happens.
Yes, I'll make sure we pull back those old clips. Did you see what happened to talking about the Detroit? Did you see what happened to Aiden Hutchinson? I didn't like fully get it at the time when he broke his leg. It kept saying like, oh, graphic content, and I was like, where's the graphic content? Then I realized it was his leg fucking flapping like that.
I watched it live, didn't see the leg bend, and never watched another replay. Fox didn't serve us many replays, which was great. I told you I wasn't doing red zone. I was going to try out the Tom Brady experience, and I really did. They did 3 commercial breaks while Hutchinson was on the ground. Like, that's like 3 minutes each. It was like 10 minutes he was waiting to be carted off. They never showed the replay once. They barely had anything to say. It was kind of a sad scene. It's almost like the NFL doesn't want to talk about injuries, which no one wants to, but it's part of the game. Like, you have to talk about it, but they didn't want to talk about it because it's like that was so bad for the Lions.
Did you know how it happened? Because I only saw the clips, and I wasn't really sure how it happened.
It's kind of a freak thing.
The clip that they're showing, it was weird. It was like he was falling to the ground, and you see this part of his leg, and here's his ankle. This is just like it just like bends a little in a weird way.
And he knew right away. He said broken, like he knew.
Oh, you could tell right away that it was it was crazy.
I don't like that graphic stuff. We watched something where someone's neck was breaking over the weekend. Like, what was that, a horror film? That was terrible.
That was some people that they might have been up all night and they wanted to show us some weird videos.
Just remember that. It was triggering.
It was not what you wanted to wake up to.
Oh, did we also watch some old WWE clips? What happened with Undertaker on top of the Hell in a Cell from the 90s? Walk us through that.
Yeah, so Jeremy was not you didn't watch wrestling growing up. All of us seemed to watch wrestling.
I realized the whole room they're like, what else did you do on Saturday nights as a kid? I was like, a lot of things. A lot of things, but not this.
Yeah, all I did was watch wrestling, and we watched Hell in the Cell, Mankind versus Undertaker. I almost wish I didn't watch it, as I told you in the car. I'm like, I felt like I remembered it so much differently from what it was, and it felt really fast. Like that, I know it's 30 minutes long, but it felt fast, but also like Mankind was down probably 15 minutes of the time after he got thrown off the cell.
It was like a 16-foot throw off into a table, and like he wasn't supposed to fall into a different thing at one point, and he did fall another 16 feet. It was crazy.
Yeah, the actual cell, it fell, no spoilers, but he fell through the cell and all this.
Well, and there's a recent Hell in a Cell just a few weeks ago at Bad Blood. I was loving it. The current product of the WWE is amazing. And by all accounts, Mike, you were watching the Netflix documentary. I didn't watch it, but I love WWE, of course. It sounds like Vince was holding them back. And now that Vince is out of there with his pencil mustache and his drawn-on eyebrows, now that he's out, I feel like they're flourishing without him.
You know what I thought it was? I thought the time that they flourished the most was when I was watching, like, from 96 to 2001. It was like WCW versus WWF, now WWE. But I feel like right now there's no competition. It's just like, that is
UFC,
it. That's the
but they're kind of the same company, right?
Yeah, UFC I think is a little different because you're building stars, but they only have a limited amount of time to actually go get hit in the head. With these wrestlers, it's like you see Stone Cold. He's out there. It's been fucking 20, 30 years. And I think with wrestling, it is a show and it's entertainment, and you put on that show, and I think without having that competition it's not where it should be. And I know there's like AEW and some other stuff, but just don't think there's like top tier competition that wants to compete with wrestling, and it's a big deal. It's kind of like you even see right now, people are like, hey, I want to get some money into football, and we'll make the XFL, we'll make the spring league. At least people are giving it a shot and trying to compete, but I just don't think they're going to. But yeah, I'm excited for Netflix to get wrestling, because I might watch it on Monday or Tuesday nights whenever it's on. It
starts soon, right? This year, I think. End of this year or beginning of next year?
I think it starts around, maybe around Christmas time. But I'm pumped for it. I think it'll be fun, kind of get back into it again. And it's just a different, it's so weird. You watch that documentary. I would recommend watching it, and you see the different errors. You see like oh, we're not allowed to hit people with chairs anymore because it gives concussions, and that's why it's like not as bloody, and they're not getting like, barbed wire baseball bats and whacking them in the face anymore. Because like, oh, we're actually on TV and we can't do this. So yeah, it's just interesting once you realize that there was like rules that were put in place to prevent all this stuff. But yeah, it's good. I like it.
Check it out on Netflix and live wrestling every week somewhere.
That's right. I got some Hangover Hotline comments from some of our videos last week. If you want to run through them real quick.
Yeah. What are people saying, Mike?
Well, you have your Brock Purdy, exposed. You're not a believer in Brock Purdy. This guy Mob Squad, he says Joe Burrow and Matthew Stafford have worse records. Should the Bengals and Rams move on as well? That was a question towards you, Jeremy.
Burrow and Stafford just went to the Super Bowl against each other. Literally, they both were there at the same time. Brock Purdy has never sniffed a Super Bowl. Actually, he has, but he always loses.
Yes. Yeah.
He just can't win one. Steered wrong there. I forgot. The Niners got him there. He didn't get himself there. He played well against Seattle the other week. Stafford is washed. Purdy's like 15 years younger than him. Burrow is much better than Purdy. What kind of comment is that? That was terrible. Try another one.
Next one. This was our video where we mentioned the Bucs to the Super Bowl. Must have been like preseason, and Kyle just said he agreed. That was it. He agrees that the Bucs are going to the Super Bowl. Do you agree that they're going to the Super Bowl?
Great performance in the Dome. I was telling you, fade the Bucs because they're worried about their families in Tampa Bay. Then I found out Mr. Moneybags, Glazer, their owner, flew all the families to New Orleans to get out of the path of the storm. Should have known that stat before. I would have put all my life savings on the Bucs. They were chilling in New Orleans while a hurricane hit, and they were all having the time of their lives. Everything was fine.
No big deal.
No.
Next one. This is from Twitter. Unapologetically Ginger commented, and he said he would be an awful QB. This is referring to Tom Brady when you said you wanted him to be our flag football USA representative.
Yes.
Flag football needs to be a mobile QB. Do you agree? I know we were arguing about this, but he wants a mobile QB. Maybe a Lamar, maybe Kyler, maybe Jaden Daniels.
Well, that's okay, and that's Tom Brady's job as the GM of the team. We've had a lot of GM talk today. But remember, Tom Brady's a GM talk. I didn't crown him as a QB. I said, you be the GM, and you go recruit the best quarterbacks to this team. By the way, Mike, was that your son that's already commenting on that last one?
I don't know. It's very weird. It was not my son. Yeah,
Ginger.
But he is a ginger. Yeah.
Okay. Andy Dalton, the ginger is fading. I don't know if we can call him the Red Rifle anymore. It's kind of the red pop gun at this point. We'll see what else it falls into, but the Panthers are not going well without Bryce Young either.
It's just after a while they figured out Andy Dalton and like
it was
his
fun for a week. It's like the 1 week bump. Like, did the Jets get a 1 week bump last night? I don't know, but we found out.
I have some picks we can run through real quick.
Okay.
Not a lot. Listen, I'm coming off a cold week, so this week I'm just feeling it right now. I just want to feel what's going on. So I'm going to start. I'm going with the New York Giants at home playing Philly. They're getting 3.5 points. Division dog. Something's wrong with Philly, right? The vibe is off. They haven't scored a point in the first quarter in like the last 8 games, which is not good for them.
That's the script.
Now, the problem is I know Danny Dimes has not scored a touchdown at MetLife Stadium in the last like 20 games. It's been a long time.
How is that possible? That's where he plays. He plays there.
He doesn't score it. He has not thrown a touchdown.
That's his workplace. What if I went to work and didn't send an email in 20 weeks? Like, how does that happen?
You would maybe send a letter in. You hand it off to somebody else.
Everything but score.
He has not thrown a touchdown.
That's
so it
terrible.
gives me a little worried. This is Monday. This is even before the Monday night game. We're watching baseball over here on my side screen.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen, but this felt right. Felt like division dog. 2 teams, mojo's off. Let me take the points at home.
I can't believe that stat. If that's a real stat, 20 games, the quarterback hasn't scored.
It was
he runs,
like
he
that.
throws, he does everything, and he can't get in the end zone. That's terrible. They look better against the Bengals. The Bengals barely covered late in the game. I thought the Giants had more fight than normal. Their offensive line held up better than normal. That was without Neighbors, too. The Giants might be trending up, but it might not be enough to save Dayball and Jones. It might still have to fire and clean house still.
All right, next game, Detroit and Minnesota. I'm rocking with Minnesota here. Minnesota had a bye week, right? They had a bye week. They had an off week.
They did, yeah, they did.
They got time to prep. This is a huge game. And Minnesota right now entering week 6. They were the top defense, average plays allowed, and their defense is the top of DVOA. So they're just like all the stats are trending. You have great defense, both on your team, and now it's just like come together in the big moment. They're favored. I feel like everybody's going to go to Detroit after this huge game, after 47 points are scored. It's like a little like you're not getting the full value. You're getting like undervalue here from Minnesota. They're favored at home. I like it. It worries me a little bit because it's a really big game, and I imagine a lot of people are going to bet on it.
I think the Lions are going to be having a rough week because they're coming off a big emotional win in Dallas. You know, they celebrate all the way back on the flight. That's a big win for them after they got by him in the playoffs. I think last year was a close game. Yeah. Some weird stuff happened. Very emotional win for the Lions yesterday. The Vikings, like you said, they're rested. They're getting one of the best playmakers in the league back soon. I don't know if it's this week. TJ Hawkinson is coming back from a huge ACL, and he's coming back soon to add to Sam Darnold's MVP race. I love Sam Darnold there in this spot. The Lions are losing Hutchinson. They're not going to trade for a pass rusher this week, maybe eventually, while the Vikings get people back from injury. So I love the side of the Vikings.
Okay, I love it. Okay. Next one. I'm taking Seattle here. +2.5. They're in Atlanta. This is a bounce back game for Seattle. They didn't run the ball very well last week. I want them to step it up, come back, win this game. I think they're able to do it. But Gino, we don't need sleepy Gino. We need awake Gino.
Well, Mike, this is a 10 a.m. game in Atlanta after he flies for 7 hours on Saturday. That's a recipe for Sleepy Gino. Sleepy Gino does not show up often at the 10 a.m. East Coast games, 1 p.m. Eastern. I was calling for Sam Howell during that Thursday night game. I thought at the half, surely they could go to Sam Howell. I know you were calling for it at one point after a Gino pick across the middle, just trying to get the ball to DK. That was a huge game for Seattle at home with the struggling Niners, and the Niners whooped that ass. I don't know how Seattle responds on the road. It could go either way, but not a lot of confidence, no.
I think the issue is they're not running the ball enough, and last week they couldn't run the ball against San Francisco, so I think this week they just need to step it up. I mean, Bobo was out there catching all the balls. Like, no one else is catching balls.
I mean, Tyler Lockett's still getting it done. We've been calling Lockett to retire for years, and that man is still catching passes, too.
He's still catching passes. He's still doing good, but they got to get DK, and they got to get Walker involved a lot more, I think.
Yeah,
all right, next game. I'm taking Pittsburgh, -1.5 against the Jets. We don't know what the Jets are going to do tonight, but I do think the defense is good with Pittsburgh. They have boring games, but I think this could be a week that I don't know if they're going to make the QB change, but some more mistakes by Justin Fields. Russ comes in. Maybe you score a little more than just 20 points a game and have Russ come in.
Mike, one of the best things you did this whole year was when the Steelers fucked you on week 1 and you put the Steelers in timeout. You put the baby in timeout, and the baby is not responding well because the baby is doing all kinds of crazy things right now. They're losing to the Colts and the Cowboys. They're winning against the Raiders and other good teams out there. It's like, who are the Steelers? And now they're going to play a Jets team. I don't know who the Jets are either because they haven't had their bounce back game against the Bills. We don't know the results of that one yet. Maybe they bounce back, but did they bounce back for 1 week at a time, the Jets, and then they'll fall back down? Or is it a brand new offense? This one scares the hell out of me. The one thing I know about Mike Tomlin is when you think he's going to win, don't bet on him. When you think he's going to lose, he will win. And he always does what you don't think is going to happen. So if you think he's going to win, don't do it.
Next game, I'm staying in London. I'm going with the boys. This could be the last game for the Jags.
You're going to be left there too.
I'm taking the Jags -2 against New England. Rookie QB. There is no way in hell 2 rookie QBs beat the Jags. It would break records if this happened. I'm going with the Jags. That's
Mike has dinner with Doug Peterson next Monday night in London. They're going to go explore the city. I need a camera on this man because you guys are going to have a great time. You cannot do this again, Mike. You are just as guilty as Jerry Jones with the roster and Doug Peterson with the play calls and Nick Sirianni with the fans. You are just as guilty because you're going down a dark road you know you shouldn't go down.
I know. But I'm going to do it. I think I got to talk to mutual friends, see if he's recovered from the weekend before we start gambling.
I hope you wake up at 6:30 to watch it and you're pissed off you woke up so early, too.
I'm always pissed when I turn on those games. They're always so bad.
You're not supposed to bet on Thursdays or London games. You told me that before.
I know. Check out sportsangover.com. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Share with a friend. We are on YouTube, Twitter, wherever, Instagram. We're streaming live right now on Twitter. Maybe we should send out tweets to let people know when we're actually going live so we have more people tune into us.
We definitely should for some notification. I know you're trailing me out here. The music's playing, Mike, but we got some great baseball going on. The Dodgers are playing right across the street from you. They were down 6-0 to start this Columbus Day game. Very few fans in LA, and now it's 6-3. They're coming back. We might have a series here.
Oh, it was in LA. I'm like, why? Why is I didn't realize it was in LA. I thought it was starting
in LA,
that early.
It's across the street from you. You don't know?
I know, but I'm just...
You can't hear this rally in real time?
No, I can't. I can't hear this rally, but I just don't understand why a game started at 1:00 in the afternoon. That's what I'm still trying to figure out.
I see. There's some afternoon baseball. Yankees play later. Very few people arriving for this Dodgers game at 1 Eastern or one local time on time. Very few people there, which I love the idea that people took Columbus Day off, tried to get there at 1:00. They got there at 6-0, but they are getting a little bit of a rally right now.
All right, good show. See you.